Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome. So I didn't think I'd be streaming tonight as I did feel a little bit tired earlier on, but you know I'm actually feeling like I've got a second wind here. It's crazy. So we'll see how long I can ride the Surf the Beard, we'll say. But yeah, should be an interesting one at least. We'll see what we can get done tonight and whether we can finish it or not, I'm not entirely sure, but we'll see how we get on, right? Hello there, Mega Corporation. How are you doing, my friend? Okay, here we are, 1021 Part 1. Obviously, get back into that. There we go. So we do have a lot to decide upon. But indeed, sorry, I was just reading something from the manual there. Yep, okay, so... Hello there, Lander. I think what we'll do is we'll start by addressing the situation in the air over here. Now, we did see a lot of our Ki-43-1C shot down, which is a shame. I think it was a shame to see them in their first introduction go down in such numbers, but then again, we'll assess the situation and really figure out why that happened. We can see we were flying about 15,000 feet. So if we go back into the actual combat report... See, I do find it rather interesting that we took such losses at that altitude. So we need to figure out at what altitude our fighters were flying at and at what altitude the H-81s dropped upon them. From that we can figure things out. Okay. I'm actually not getting much information here. It looks... Alright, here we go. Right, so they were at 20,000 feet, then that does make a lot of sense then. Okay. Though not quick enough to get lunch. Wrapped up a cold water stream on Twitch just in time to catch yours. Oh, that's awesome, dude. If you go ahead and actually send me your channel in Discord, I'll make sure to share it. I also do need to share a couple others. I do try to. It's like if I've not shared any channels previously that I said that I would, it's not because I won't, it's just because I tend to forget, sorry. So for those of you who I've asked to send their channels, do go ahead and I'll share them in the future. But yes, okay, so what we're going to do here. Do you think there was a huge difference in pilot experience? I think it really was down. I mean, these pilots are really good, so it's a shame to see them shot down. I mean, these are very good pilots. I think it really was the altitude difference. So what we're going to do here, then, is we're going to lower our actual numbers on combat air patrol, and we are going to really rocket up at 20,000 feet. I think, let's take a look then. So we do have, yeah, we have enough aircraft in reserve here to actually replace the losses suffered by the squadron. Though, I don't know if I want to. I think what we'll do then, because I do want to actually have the squadron Ki-43-1As actually replaced rather than waiting our zeros over here. Well, our Oscars down over here. So what we'll do then is we'll take the lesson here. And we'll leave it off for a little while. So what we'll do instead then is we'll actually target his ground forces over here. I think that's probably better and a safer option. I don't want to be going head to head. I mean, we do have another 3 fighters here. That'll take us up to 21. We obviously still have one over here to come down as well, so that's pretty good. Now, if I wanted to, I can actually increase the amount of fighters that we do have. If I take a look, what do we have in terms of airfield capacity? That's what we need to figure out. Plenty of space there. No. I'm a little bit tempted to take the Ki-27Bs, but then again, if we take a look, they are... Right, actually, no, they're not doing anything at the moment, are they? They're not bad on the experience either. Yeah, and we do have a pretty fantastic training squadron here, so we'll have them train, in fact. So have them train on... I guess sweep. I think we have the vast majority on that sort of altitude. So we'll have them trained to sweep at 20,000 feet. Then I was going to say maybe have them brought in over here, but I don't think it's worthwhile. I'll take them off the actual drop tanks just in case they use any additional supply. But yeah, what we're going to do then is we're going to change over and we are going to have our force of bombers bomb these enemy units to the north then. Ideally try to inflict some damage upon them, which would be quite nice. Now... I think what we'll do is... It's a hard question. I'm going to experiment with having the bombers at higher altitudes for safety. should help us try and coordinate as well to a degree. So I'm going to set all the Ki-51 Sunayas over here as well to hit them at that sort of rough altitude. I don't think we'll see fighters, but we do have to be quite careful. But I don't want to keep on losing fighters here. We can beat them in a one-on-one engagement. It's one of those things they did catch us out because of the fact that we were escorting the bombers. But you can see how powerful it is to have that altitude advantage. It really does make a massive, massive difference. So we need to bear that in mind. I think in the future it's definitely going to come into a series of, well, battles for altitude supremacy, really, if that makes any sense. Okay. So we'll run 20,000 feet then with our fighters in the future. I think it's just going to have to be one of those. We can see even if we have the maneuverability, it doesn't necessarily guarantee us success because if the enemy is higher, they do have that 5,000 feet advantage. That does make a massive difference. So we'll just have to look at what we can do there in terms of altitude. But I think 20,000 feet is probably the best. Which does make me wonder, perhaps we... I'm somewhat tempted to have the Ki-43-1Bs run at 15,000 feet and then have the Zeros at 20. Really make the most of them for their diving capabilities. And that's probably the best bet. So we'll have the Ki-43 of the 64th Sentai Squadron. We'll have them run 15,000 feet, so the same altitude as the actual Ki-21s. We are only going to be running one squadron this time. The reason for that is so we can actually rest them. We'll have the others rest while one squadron goes in, and we'll see how they do. In the end of the day, they are carrying a fairly sufficient... I mean, each one of them carries, what, 1,000 pounds of bombs? So we're carrying about 28,000 pounds of bombs into battle. Which is not... It's not a light number, you know. So it's worthwhile doing. But we'll run it with overwhelming number of fighters. If we take a look at it then, we'll have something in the region of 100 fighters potentially to escort. Obviously those numbers are probably not going to be exact, but we'll have something in the region of 90, I'd imagine. So if we have 90 fighters escorting about 28 to 30 bombers, I think we'll see some fairly devastating damage against the Allies' Air Force over here. And now I did say in the Discord earlier on in regards to a question asked about Singapore's airfield, and to what point do we wish to actually damage it? And the question comes down to, well, do we want to destroy it? And the question is, well, the answer is no, we don't actually want to destroy the airfield here at Singapore. And what we're going to do here is actually just drive his forces from Singapore. I don't want to destroy it, I don't want to knock it out completely, because at the end of the day, if we knock it out completely, then I actually lose a very great asset once we do capture it, which we will capture it, inevitably we will capture it. So what we're going to do here then is make it uncomfortable for him. If we can keep bombing his airfield each and every day, it will get to the point at which he's losing too many aircraft for it to be worthwhile. At which point he's going to start to move out to these other airfields where he's going to find it more difficult due to the actual size of said airfields. Now we should have hit Medan last turn, but we didn't, unfortunately due to the weather. So we'll see if he's expecting it this turn, but we'll run it. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to have our... does the Discord chat link go to the IGN channel? No, the one that's actually in the description goes straight... just goes to the actual Discord itself. You'll be like in the welcome section. So there's no worries about that. Okay, we'll go for that then. So we'll go and... let's go over here then. So of course I don't have a huge amount of zeros to protect the Ki-48, so it's not the best situation over here. What I could do is... we do have some Ki-43-1As actually helping to escort over here. It might be worthwhile to potentially assign some additional ones to protect. Now... I'm somewhat tempted to actually have some Ki-27s perform the extremely low-level interception. Then again, they only have a terrible amount of gun value. How do they compare to the Ki-43-1As? Well, they're about the same, it's just the 1A is just faster. So I think what we might do here then is, yeah, okay, what we're going to do here then is I'm going to rebuild this unit. And there's not a huge amount of them either, is there? Now, this unit I'm going to have basically rebuilt into the Ki-43 1Cs in Malaya. But I'm going to transfer the unit to a low star here, as we'll have 13 of them. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we're going to have these 13 actually help to escort in these forces to Medan over here. It's not a massive number, an additional 13. Obviously, we're not going to have them at 5,000 feet. And we'll take a look at the altitude of the Ki-48 1B Lilies, and then at 10,000 feet. I'll run them at about 12,000. There we go. So what I'll do then is I'll run the Ki-43 1As at about 15,000 feet. The Zeros are going to be running at 20,000 feet here. Yep, Medan. And Medan. There we go. Actually, they need... I was going to say your range shouldn't be that low. Need to take Singapore for sure, followed by Sumatra, then the Navy can for a little leisure. Yeah. Well, this is it. Once we do capture these bases over here, the progress will rapidly increase. And once we actually do secure control of the air over Malaya, I mean, this is the actual issue, is it's like we are having to fight for control of the air. Not... It's one of these, it's like I don't necessarily have to have full aerial supremacy, but it would be really welcomed. But what we'll do then is, we'll try... Well, I want to knock out his bombers mostly. If I can knock out all his fighters, it means we can actually go around here with... lack of risk, really, unless it's coming from the actual flag. I do find it really interesting that he's got something there. I don't know why it's been there so long. I know that Prince of Wales and Repulsive already left Singapore some time ago, but I don't know why he'd have something like that out there. I think it's actually for his defense, because it's... Yeah, I think when it's not imported, it actually has the full AA capabilities, because it will not be imported here. As far as I can... Yeah, as far as I'm aware, it won't be imported unless it's docked. So I think it must be like some kind of additional AA. Well, the big five are Malaya, Sumatra, Borneo, Java, and the Philippines. Indeed. I mean, the Philippines is going fairly well. That is a campaign that's going well. One that will be wrapping up pretty soon. I think what we are going to do here then, and I've had some possible ideas, but I'm not going to say I commit to them as of yet. But we'll have the 3 divisions here to mop up the rest of the forces in the Philippines. We'll have 1 division here after Clark Falls to hold on here. Then we'll have some supporting forces to make sure they're with them. What we'll do then is have another division sent south to Mindanao, and from there what we are going to do afterwards is have one sent to the South Pacific potentially. And the one that would be going to Mindanao would then be transferred to the Dutch East Indies. But I think with the one sent to the South Pacific, it would really be handy for us to use to try and... Now, an idea I've been considering is something of a smash and grab. The reason for that is most allied players do transport fuel and oil to Australia for safekeeping. So I'd be rather interested to see if there's any areas out here that might host oil and fuel. It would be very handy for us to potentially land and then like smash and grab. Like Darwin, for example, is actually not particularly well defended. I don't know what would happen if we landed in Australia. I'd imagine he'd probably have some forces created by our Japanese forces on his soil. But I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, we'd have to figure that one out. But I think really what we want to do is see if we can try and run some of our smash and grab. Like, once we have control of the Coral Sea and really try to extend our control into Dutch East Indies, it would be nice to actually put the actual direct pressure on New Zealand, or Australia, of course, that we're talking about right now, and try and extract some of that fuel and oil out of here. Basically have small tankers perhaps, or fast tankers, just something that can obviously carry. I'd probably go with small tankers just to get it out there quickly, keep it like moving on a convoy perhaps. That's a possible idea. I need to connect a salient from Hokkaido to Java, And that will determine the US Navy and allows control over the Yellow Sea and the South Coral Sea. Exactly. I mean, what we want to do here then is really have our salient extend all the way down here to this area of the South Pacific. That would be the dream. I mean, it would be nice to try and neutralize New Zealand, but to neutralize New Zealand, we'd have to neutralize Auckland. And that could be done, but it's one of those it's a very, very ambitious operation, and it's one that I have no information about New Zealand. Perhaps in the future, should we find ourselves in a very strong position, perhaps we could consider it with maybe a division or more. But, it's a very interesting scenario, and it's one of those of where I don't know if we'd be able to manage it. I don't know if they'd have a huge amount of force, but I think it'd be one of those of where I couldn't afford to potentially get caught up there. Yes, indeed, Ocean's 11 Banzai. Australia is a big empty island, smash and grab only, don't stay for too long. Yes, exactly. And the best thing you can do is reverse island hop down the Dutch East Indies, Solomons. Yeah, exactly. Probably the best. I mean, for example, if I grabbed Norfolk Island over here, that'd be a perfect in-between point. But even Norfolk Island is still 15 hexes away from Auckland. Auckland's really far down here. If I take a look, how far away is KYJ from Auckland, for example? If we take a look, it is... That's 70 hexes. Do you know how far that is? That is very, very far. If we take a look at the distance from KYJ to Tokyo, we're actually closer to Tokyo than we are to Auckland. So I just want to point that out. That is the reality of the situation here. So anything down in New Zealand is extremely happenstance. It's going to really rely upon us doing extraordinarily well in this area here for that to become a possibility. Given your latest sinking of that freight in the Palembang, leads to think that the enemy must be south of the island group, evacuate the fuel and oil. You better send a sub on that side of the strait. Yeah, would be a good idea. I really don't know that much about this game of the Pacific War. Don't worry there, man, at all. It's pretty awesome. It's a really fantastic game, and you're amongst good company. Now, Port Alpha, of course, you did mention it. We are building it up over here. Well, then again, it's already built up to maximum size port. I'm building up the airfield, but I don't know if I should be bothering, to be honest. But it's probably not the worst idea. Okay. Hello there, Blinson. How you doing, my dude? And the building of a Yamato class is very, very far for your industry to go. Let's do it. What's the saying here? Let's not miss the bus. Okay. I've got my ACM over there. I think you came from Fusan, so I'm going to have you sent back to Fusan, perhaps. You're amongst biplanes, indeed. You're amongst bisexual planes. That's what you mean, right there, Saltfish, right? Right? You know what, though? I've been really looking to see if I can actually find a model of the Issei conversion, of the, like, Fuso conversion, so, like, the converted battleships. If someone can actually find me a model for that and link me, I'd be so very happy. I mean, how does it work? Can you produce your own divisions, fleet, air force, or is it generic? Well, basically how this game works is you are playing the Pacific War one day at a time. So, of course, we start on the 7th of December 1941, and the game will run until it ends. So, the end date is something in the region of 1945/46. But, yeah. And it takes us a couple hours to get through each day. I think we're about... How long have we been doing this series? I think we're about 4 to 5 months in now, or something of that nature. And are we that far in? I don't know if we're that far in. But we're only on the 28th of December, so it's going to take a few years for us to get to, like, 45 at least. Hello there, Roland Dutch. It's good to see you, my friends. They have the Bob sample. You have nothing that stands a chance against this monster. I love that. Okay, so there, Grigsby. I posted info in the comment section of episode 21, part 1, on the discovery of the first Imperial Japanese battleship to be sank by US forces. Yeah, that does make me feel a bit better. I saw that. Awesome, dude. Thank you very much. No need to mechanize your army unless you really go heavy into China. Go heavy on the Navy and make sure your infantry has enough support and equipment to move quickly. Well, to be fair, what we have to be taking a look at in the near future is our amount of armaments over here. So you can see that we only have 4,962 points of armaments here at the moment. How much do we consume? I'm not entirely sure how much we consume here, actually. I don't know how much we actually consume at the moment of heavy industry points. Have you found me a model? Yeah. See, I want that, but I want it as an actual model, like physical model, because that'd be freaking awesome. Where can we realistically operate the Yamatos with regard to port size? Well, we can operate them... It's not so much about operations, it's... Well, then again, I suppose it is. I mean, the Yamato class is a freaking behemoth. So if we take a look then at ships... Japanese ships... Okay. Where's Yamato? Okay. So, Yamato in 42, so we're looking at... Is it going to give me a tonnage? I don't think it's going to give me a tonnage here. She's a big old bitch anyway. How should she weigh? She weighs 67,000 tons. It's just so... freaking massive. I honestly cannot underestimate. I just can't overestimate. Sorry, overstate just how huge she is. But yeah, she's a big old gal, and we'll have two of those bad boys. So the thing is, if we have two of them, that's gonna be freaking just incredible. You found a model? Oh, dude, that's awesome. Please see my comments about the BBC conversion in your last video. Could you actually copy and paste that there? I don't get a chance sometimes to see them. I've been a little bit busy today, for fair. Oh, dude, you found a model. Oh, that's awesome. See, that's a sweet model. See, I'd love to find one that's a little bit larger, but you know what? That's nice. I like that so far. Okay. Oh no, she's extra thick. Just look at the amount of victory points she's worth. But yeah, we could actually host her in, let's see, so truck, for example. Yeah, she could, I think she could be handled in truck. I don't know if 48,000 tons is the maximum amount of tonnage for a single ship, but I believe at the next port size she probably would be handled. She could be rearmed at the very least here, which is obviously what we need. We are using a lot of supply and fuel over here, but obviously we will have that replaced. Okay. Right. I'm getting distracted again. Right, let's go back and go back over here. Yeah, build like tension arrows. Exactly thick. Right then, so we have our forces marching over here to Xinjiang. Glorious days indeed. We're about halfway there, which is fantastic. So what will happen then once we do secure? Well, we already have technically resecured Xinjiang. He's bloody taking my supplies from there, the arse. I don't know how much we had there to begin with, but he's bloody taken whatever was there, it seems. But that's not an issue. We don't particularly need a huge amount here, but as long as we own it, we can actually use the rail line. I think what we need to do here then is potentially... We need to look at marching towards Nanyang. We need to annihilate his forces here in this area. Perhaps we would march on Ishang, but we need to annihilate his forces in this area entirely. When are you doing a face reveal? We need to see your reaction when you eventually find allied carriers. You'll probably never see my face. I could draw my face, but you'd barf. She still has weak AA, and the Japanese 25mm is one of the worst AA guns of World War II. Granted, but I'm still looking at the conversions quite happily. I think it would be worthwhile. Was Yamato not a good idea? A bit like Germany and their big panzers, a waste of resources when you don't have much? Probably, but we don't get a choice. We could say, no, don't build her. But what we do then is we save heavy industrial points, but we don't get to build another ship. Unfortunately. Super BB is wank. Super BB wank is help with the soil. So, when the BB actually finishes conversion, will the float fighters even be competitive against what the Allies can put in Vienna at the time, fighter-wise? It's not so much... I mean, I don't know if they can actually host float fighters, but even being able to host actual float reconnaissance is worth its weight in gold. It doesn't particularly matter if they're going to be competitive, due to the nature of the beast here that we face. It's like, you can throw some crap up in the air, but even if you throw enough crap on the wall, eventually something will stick. So the beauty would be, even if we wouldn't be able to do very much, it would still be something worthwhile. Okay. I mean, that's the main thing here. Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll still go ahead with the BB conversions. I think it is going to be worthwhile just to have that extra search capacity. Because at the end of the day, these battleships are going to be more than likely escorting our carriers throughout the entire campaign for the most part. And so the carriers will be handling all the main heavy lifting. So for example, we'll be going from the A6M2s to the A6M5s eventually. By 1942 we'll have the A6M5. So if you take a look over here then, for example, so Kitabutai. She has currently here... we're actually missing a pilot. Aha! I beat Anno to telling me I should have actually put a more experienced pilot in there, but I'm sure I'll be able to remedy that. Yeah, okay. So you can see here that we have currently 127 fighters ready. It's going to be the A6M2 Zeros that are going to be doing the mainstay of the fight in here. I find it interesting that the A5 M4 Claudes, can I actually have those taken the reserves? No, unfortunately not. They're running very low altitude at 10,000 feet there. It's very low altitude. Do I have them... Now, they're all running about 10,000. That's intriguing. Okay, have you run at least 15,000 then? I suppose I can run 18 of them at 10,000 feet. I suppose that's not a bad thing considering it would be handy against, like, dive bombers potentially and, like, torpedo bombers, but I'll run a group at 15,000 feet. And the Zeros will run, obviously, at higher altitudes. We are missing pilots here as well. Seems they're still on their way, actually. Let's go here to the pilots. Yeah, we'll have 3 more pilots in 2 days. 2 in 1 day, the other day after. Cargo. Right. Pretty good pilots here, actually. We definitely will have these Zeros replaced in the future. Well, have them actually reinforced. So I have 12 pilots here. Pretty good experience there, that's good news. Okay. I have a question for you all. How do you think Japan could have won the war in real life? Yeah. It is a good question. I think the only way they could have really achieved any sort of victory. I mean, this is it. There's no victory. There's only a negotiated peace. I think the only way they could have potentially done that would have been... it is really hard to say because I don't think it would have mattered to a degree. I think the only way they could have ever achieved anything would have been potentially had they knocked out the US's capabilities to actually project power out here. But I mean, how would you manage that? You'd have had to, like, I don't know. I think it's one of those things of where Japan in history, obviously with the situation, it's like they knew it as well. Like, obviously the higher-ups in the Japanese Empire, well, obviously the, I mean, Yamamoto, for example. Like, he knew there wasn't going to be a victory. It was only, like, achieving a negotiated peace deal. Yeah, winning would be forcing a peace treaty where they held onto some of the resource centers. Not sucking in midway would definitely have helped. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Right. So we'll have battle joined over here. So we're going to go on a deliberate attack. That's going to go quite well due to the amount of planning bonus there, which is nice. So we are going to have new forces actually joining us rather soon in terms of ground reinforcements. I don't know when we'll actually gain the ability to have these divisions pulled out of Japan. I mean, I could. They're really expensive. Like, you cost 1,500 points at this stage in the war to actually change your command. 1,700 points. 1,700 points as well. Perhaps they get cheaper over time, but yeah, it's not going to be any time soon that we'll get to take them. Okay. These guys are running training, that's fine. Moving south over here, we do have a force moving towards Chushian. That's good. I think the thing is, even if they destroyed the American carriers, even if they destroyed all of them, it wouldn't have done anything then, just delay the inevitable really to an extent. Okay, question is, do I go for a deliberate attack? I'm not entirely sure. I think we'll go with a large bombardment, perhaps. It's hard to say, it's really hard to say. I think I'll bombard. It's like, I could win this, I'm sure, but I don't want to, I'm sure I could win this. We do have 316 assault value. I'm just not particularly keen on throwing a division that's not... What am I going to be doing over here? We'll see what resistance is like. We'll see what the numbers look like next turn, and then we'll consider potentially a deliberate attack. And the rest of the division's not too far out, so that's not too bad. So it's one of these things, isn't it? Indeed. Okay. I think if the US mainland started to get bombed, to be honest, I really don't think. I think it may harden opinion even further. Right. So I do want to be marching upon Kukong, but I'm still waiting for the actual artillery to move up, and then from there we'll move on. They should be there within the next turn or two, so day to 2 anyway, and we'll be able to move upon Kukong, which is good. Okay. Hello there, Franz. How you doing, my friend? Yeah, it's good to have you here. You also have the British carriers coming in, which will... yeah, they're fairly heavily armoured. I think had they actually secured China, they would have had to do it a very... well, in a quick fashion. That would have been the only way they could have actually won the Sino-Japanese War, was obviously to have won it within the first few months, rather than years. Okay. I think it's a little bit brazen, potentially, to have these guys moving here. I'll have them make a detour that way. Low threat threshold would be a good idea. Low. There we go. I'll also have home port set to Babal Douab. There we go. Right, I do need that headquarters down there, ASAP. Okay, so I do have my submarines over here. They're currently over by Brisbane. What we're going to do is actually send a couple more down towards Sydney, actually. There we go. What do you guys think of the Australian campaign? I mean, what do you think to the smash and grab sort of idea? I think it could be very successful if we actually identified where his fuel was, and we did it early enough. The US bill, yeah, actually, I don't know why that message was held for review. And the USA builds 24 Essex class CVs, so Japan would be fucked anyway, even if they destroy the early CVs. Yeah, pretty much. Like, the only way we could potentially win here is by winning a victory point. Win, really. Which is what we're trying to achieve here. So, it's kind of the reason why we are taking a lot of risks to a degree. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'd love to have an Essex class carrier. That'd be freaking awesome. Right. Do I have any reconnaissance here? I don't think I do. I think the only one I have here is down that way. What we'll do then is actually just start to run some patrols around the island. I think we'll run some fairly longer range, well, longer ranging patrols here. Just try and keep up a, I suppose, potentially a pretense of additional numbers around the island. I mean, unless they actually figured out the names of the submarines, I'm not entirely sure he'd know exactly how many we had. But I imagine he'd be able to have a good clue. But we'll patrol around here. I just want to have something of a random arc to a degree, just to make sure we try and catch anything potentially out there. Are you detected? That's the question. You do have a slight amount of protection. It's actually listed as 1-1, which might mean that the submarine has only been detected by potentially her radio transmissions. But I want you to run some information over by Suva anyhow, actually. Yes, I need that information over Suva, so I can just try and figure out if there's actually forces, if he's actually increased the amount of forces he has there, or whether he's actually reduced them to an extent. Okay, so basically the only way for Japan to win was to make the war too costly to continue to look for total victory. To an extent, yes, but even then that's like difficult considering that the US obviously did suffer casualties, and yeah, she didn't stop. Okay, I'm going to actually have this second submarine brought down here, especially this one, due to the fact that it does have a search plane. It would be really fantastic to try and gather some information on what's down here in New Zealand. I think that'd be quite a nice idea. What do I have here? Do I have a search plane? I-9 is equipped with a search plane. Superb. Okay, and you are running naval search 100%. That's great. Okay. You. What are your settings? I'm going to have you on normal, actually. I don't want you to actually get involved in something you can't possibly win. Yeah, you are currently heading towards Auckland. I think what we'll do then is attempt to hit his force over here again. But we'll head down here. We need to linger down that way. Obviously, then we'll alter that. Now, how much fuel do you have? You have 5,061 endurance. We also do need to have some fuel pushed into the area, which we can do shortly, which would be quite nice. Okay. Right. Are you detected over here at Pico? No detection, actually. That's very good. So we'll continue to patrol here. Continue to linger on absolute attack, basically. I do have another submarine that's actually entered the area with significantly more endurance, and you actually... yeah, you also do have a search plane. That's great. We'll run reconnaissance over Pico. The reason for that is I wanted to figure out what he's got there as well, just so we can actually think about what to do in the future in regards to her. Now, we do have our submarine over here, I-15, running, basically, trolling this area. I'm not going to dock her. She does have damage, but I can't afford to dock her. I'd love to get the H6K4 Mavis out of here, but obviously she's under maintenance at the moment. So that's a shame. Okay. We need engineers down here. Okay. So, what are your thoughts then, ladies and gentlemen, on the actual Fiji scenario? How do you think you guys are going to find it? Are you positive about it, or are you negative? I think it could be a very interesting one. I think in reality, if we place a lot of a line here, it obviously is causing a reaction. It is obviously causing him to send additional forces to the area that potentially could be spent elsewhere. Of course, we're doing the same, but I think at the end of the day, we've already secured Midway. Midway is going to be an island at which we look towards in the future. At the moment, we are increasing our presence in the area to a degree. That comes from the fact that we are sending our base force out from Guam. Is it Guam? It's either the Guam one or the Saipan one. I think it's the Saipan one. Potentially. But yes, I think it's one of the base forces. I think it's the Saipan one. But we are moving it from Saipan, for example, in the Marianas, over here to Wake Island. So from Wake Island, we'll be able to build up an actual positive air base over here. Actually get some supply in here and actually have some aviation support, naval support, just general support. Ability to rearm as well. It'd be actually a fairly functional submarine base for the most part. But the idea here is that once we establish a functional airfield over here, we can base a group of naval bombers, which... I mean, the reason for their existence is going to be aerial denial. That's what they need to do here at Wake. Yep, I mean, we take a look at that. 18 hexes is about there. 21 hexes, the range of the G4M1s is 21 hexes, so we're looking at, yeah, just shy of Midway. Midway is obviously out of range for now. Maybe not in the future. But yeah, she's 26 hexes out there. So what we want to do here then is, obviously bear in mind, like, 21 hexes, yeah, okay, so that's about the range of the G4M1s. So what we'll be able to do here then is actually have ourselves denying quite a large area around here, which would be very nice. Not played before, but it's hard to just load a company or two into a freight and start invading all those empty islands. Is it hard? Ah, right, okay. Well, we could do that. We absolutely could do that. But what we're going to do here is we do have a force being dispatched from Tokyo as we speak. They're already on the way south. Yeah. Task Force 289, I'm going to name it. Rabaul Raiders. Yeah, so they're on their way to Rabaul. Now they're carrying with them some the actual infantry regiment, an engineer unit, some mortars, and what else do we have here? Field artillery regiment, yep, so that's 38 guns, 75mm guns, very nice. Yep, so we actually are going to have a very nice force brought all the way down here towards the Solomon Sea to actually establish control of Rabaul. And of course, that's going to take at least 20 days for that actually to arrive. So there, Agrippa, how you doing, my dude? Yep, so if you guys have not heard of Agrippa Maxentius, I definitely recommend checking out his channel. You can find him on YouTube at Agrippa Maxentius. Awesome dude, one of my heroes, absolutely. The amount of Allied shipping in the Fiji area in the last several episodes, including the cruiser forces, discouraging. I think it's one of those of, we want him to commit his forces over here to Fiji to an extent. I don't know if it needs massive Kitabutai intervention. I think initially we'll need Kitabutai to settle the question of whether we can actually exploit his weaknesses here. But yeah, the reason and the ability for us to take Fiji is going to come from having our naval bombers based in the area. So for example, basing them over here at Noumea, which is obviously going to be our target here. I do think taking Noumea could entice THG into carrier conflict. Potentially so. I think what we are going to do, and as I discussed in the actual Discord itself, is I think we are going to see carrier action, but I think it's going to be indirect. And what I mean by indirect is basically we are going to see him using his carriers here. But I think what he'll be more than likely to do is actually use his carriers to actually shift his squadrons around the Pacific. So potentially, let's say he has I don't know, 2 squadrons of F-4Fs. Let's say he might have them on board the carriers. He could have them shifted over here to Suva. Then potentially he could have them flown back to the carriers and then shifted over here to Noumea. Or he could have his dive bombers or his torpedo bombers. I think it would be one of these different scenarios where he's going to use his carriers to move his actual squadrons around the South Pacific here. Oh god, something got caught in my throat there. I think I swallowed a bit of dust. But indeed, I think the way to defeat his strategy, if he does indeed decide to go for that, is obviously we'll have Funafuti over here. And we have currently Savai as well, thankfully. They are remaining under our control. We do need to build them up. Absolutely need to build them up. They might not be incredibly valuable, but they will be in the time to come. But what we need to do is base our H6K4 Mavises out down that way. Now, currently we do have a good couple out here in Tarawa. Obviously, a lot of them are undergoing repairs and maintenance due to the lack of maintenance that they had in the times before we actually got adequate aviation support here. But they'll be ready in time. What we'll do then is, I'd love to try and rebuild the squadron so I can actually divide them properly. But what we'll do is have a squadron base over here at Savai, we'll have a squadron base over here at Noumea. So, for example, let's take a look then at the range. So from... Right, could we actually reach Auckland from Noumea? We bloody well could. Huh. Now that's actually a nice bit of information there. Didn't actually realise that if we actually do take Noumea, I could actually base my H6K force and I'd actually have information all the way down here to Auckland, which is actually really bloody massive. Awesome. Okay, I mean, obviously from Noumea, we'd be able to gather information over Brisbane, we'd be able to gather information over not Sydney, we'd be able to gather information basically over this part of the Australian coastline, but having information over Brisbane would be fantastic. It'd actually really help out our anti-shipping efforts over there. And you are more than welcome there, Agrippa, more than welcome. Hello there, Rocco, how you doing, my dude? Seriously, if these bases are not occupied, why not send individual companies to take over those empty bases? Who will eventually send people there if you do not take them. Do you think he's going to take away from his own offensive capabilities to supplement island bases? Well, this is what we're trying to find out here. We did see troop transports over here by Suva/Nadi. The question comes down to, is he actually moving troops there, or is he actually taking troops away? Now, I need to gather information on the other islands, but I think he might be reinforcing them. I think so anyway. We'll see. But the idea here is, if he's actually reinforced Suva and Nadi, well, we can make that work against him. Because if we do establish bombers in the area, for example, if I had bombers over here at Numea and bombers over here at Savai, and we'd be able to run basically daily bombing campaigns over here. Though, of course, what we are going to have to do is I'm going to bring up the handy-dandy drawing tool. 1 second. Right, there we go. Yep, so what we need to do then is eliminate his air bases over here at Suva and Nardi. His only other air base in the area is over here at Pago and over here at Norfolk. Of course, he does have Numea and I think Comac. I can't remember if Comac actually has an airfield or not. But basically, yeah, he has airfields in these areas. We did take Savai, so that actually has deprived him of an airfield. But what we want to do then is be the only one with operational airfields in this area of the South Pacific. If we can manage that, we can actually run basically over, well, just day in, day out bombing campaigns against his forces over here. Even if we don't inflict massive casualties upon him, he is going to eventually starve. Suva and Nardi don't produce supplies, which is good. So that means he'll eventually starve. He may have a lot of supplies built up over here, but that's to be awaited eventually. This game reminds me of a recent short documentary I saw, and I can't recall the name of the ships involved, but essentially a US submarine was engaged by a Japanese fishing vessel during World War II. Interesting. And when you say eliminate, what do you have in mind? What I have in mind is basically damaging the airfield to such an extent that it's not feasible for him to actually house aircraft there. Now, whether that means actually 100% destroy it or not, I'm not entirely sure, but basically what we want to do is visit destruction upon his airfields, annihilate the actual aircraft that are already based there, but then we want to obviously base our aircraft in such a position that should he base aircraft there again, we can actually bomb the airfields with impunity? Impunity, that's the word. So I get tongue-tied and odd things every now and then. Okay. Whew, got a lot of talking. I believe they managed to kill 2 to 3 other men on board and damage the ship. Interesting. How much are you sending to take Fiji? What's up, Van Talon? How you doing, my friend? Well, when it comes down to it, let's see. We have 144th Regiment, which is... I mean, there's 687 troops there, 813 there, so I don't know, let's say about 1,300 troops there, 1,400 troops there. About 1,400 troops there. We have... Okay, so the 144th Regiment is composed of about 5,000 troops, give or take. At Tarawa, we have... Right, it's showing only about just over, I don't know, about 2,000 troops in total. Also, we do have varying elements of those elsewhere. I obviously do have... over here we have... Where is it? Do I only have equipment on there? Which is the one carrying the actual troops? Ah, here we go. Yeah, and then we do have 2,734 men over here. We do, thankfully, have additional forces around here as well. So we have the forces over here at Funafuti that we can pick up, but we have a nice strong force over here at Savai. The 51st Naval Guard is actually fairly strong. We are also bringing back the elements of the Imperial Japanese Army that are over here at Wake. So, for example, the 24th Regiment will be brought back piecemeal. We will have the forces from over here, another additional 5,000 men. We have the additional forces that will be landing over here at Saipan. But we have in transit as well on the way. We have another base force. Where are they? And they're gone. Ah, here we go. No, it's not them. Where the hell is the actual armor I dispatched? Or are they not? Ah, right, okay. So they're not loaded yet, but they will be. But we'll have the 8th Tank Regiment, so that's going to be 144 vehicles there. And then obviously we'll have the 17th Medium Field Artillery Regiment. So we'll have some armor as well and some artillery. He must have more than a division there with all his Australian forces. I'd say at the moment we could potentially throw maybe, at absolute best, maybe about 5,000 to 10,000 troops at Fiji, but we're not going to do it like that, really. Is it really worth committing all those troops to taking Fiji? Could Fiji just be isolated after trying to Georgie's carriers by taking Noumea? No, I'd say capturing Fiji will shut the door in the South Pacific. Yeah, basically what we want to do here then is actually try and starve his troops out with our actual bombers. What we want to do is have Kidabutai in the area, but we do not want to linger here. I think at most I might have Kidabutai remain in the area for possibly 5 days, possibly 7 days. That's absolute most, I think. I don't think we can really do much more than that. Not because we don't have the capabilities, but because I don't want to be stuck here. Kidabutai is all the more dangerous when he doesn't know where she is. We of course need to go and rearm and repair as well. So I think in about 5 days, give or take, something in that region, we'd be able to really annihilate a lot of his forces out here and really try and put hurt on him. But what we'll do then is remain in the area until we actually have control of Noumea and actual naval bombers based here, using torpedoes as well. You'd have 3 bases all within the range of helping each other, but you'd better start moving personnel now in order to properly occupy and build. Yep, we are on that. And for example, we do have our base force over here. They're currently heading towards Tarawa, but I think what we might do then is instead have them head straight down here to... well, I'll have them head towards Nauru Island. Well, actually see what sort of path they'd take if they were to head directly to Noumea. Okay. Well, we'll have them head on this direct path to Noumea to begin initially. I will need to find myself a destroyer or some kind of escort to have them escorted in really very soon, actually. Yeah, okay. I'm half tempted to take an actual DD out of here to do that. But I can take one of the DDs from over here, actually. That's doable. Though I do have 2 patrol boats over here. What do we have in terms of endurance for these guys? We have... good endurance, so that works for me. Okay, so these 2 tankers here are unloading fuel at this in-between point. I'll take both of them here. I'll do right. I'm going to say no. I'll leave one behind. You're going to be sent out to actually join it. There we go. Merge. Okay. Question there. When are you planning on starting your Fiji campaign? Well, the Fiji campaign is already underway. Has been for the last month, give or take. But the actual campaign is really now beginning in earnest. We'll be landing over here at the Shortlands. We'll be landing over here at Guadalcanal within the next week. We'll be down here in Noumea in about 10 days, give or take. And obviously that relies on us actually moving at only mission speed rather than actual full speed. We might actually put it towards full speed towards the closing days and possibly take some time off. But we'll see. We don't need to rush here. Okay. You know, I've never actually seen Twin Peaks. Is it pretty good? Sounds good. I mean, you guys recommended it, it seems. If you want him to not know about where Kidabutai is, then you start taking over those empty bases along the Papua North Coast. You already have seen what he does with search places for those empty bases. After taking Noumea is a long-term plan, taking the Solomon Island chain from the bottom up. Well, I don't know about long-term. We want it in basically short-term. In short-term, once Noumea falls, and depending on the situation here at Fiji, we need to basically... I mean, well, we'll have the Shortlands, we'll have Tulagi, give or take, on the conditions there. We have a force on its way to Rabaul, but basically we want Rabaul, the Solomons to fall, Guadalcanal to fall, Luganville to fall, Noumea to fall, while New Caledonia to fall in its entirety. We'll want Port Moresby to fall. I'd love to take Horn Island as well to actually mine it. But we want that all to fall, and then we want the force of Kidabutai to move into the Dutch East Indies so we can approach Java from the west and from the east and west. We need naval bombers to secure this. It's not the Navy that's going to secure this area, it's going to be the Air Force. Which is technically attached to the Army or Navy, so technically it still is a Navy or Army, so it's up to you really on that one, which one you really think is going to do it, but I'll just say Air Force just so you guys know. Okay, well, right, that's the plan anyway. Now, I do have some forces ready at Tarawa. These guys have completed loading, they're carrying just over 1,000 tons of supply. So, if I was to dispatch towards Kamak, it's obviously going to take us a couple of days to move out, considering that we're moving at only 2 hexes per day. So we'll probably set off now just to get moving. I do have myself the actual Fiji cover force. Now, we don't have much in the way of fuel here. That tank is still loading fuel, which is good. Okay. Well, to be fair, the Fiji cover force isn't far from Kiributai, so I think what we'll do then is we'll have them... I mean, I need them fueled up, to be fair. We do have enough fuel here to share, and what we'll do then is basically cannibalize the fuel from the actual transport ships, to an extent. That's the plan anyway. But yeah, we'll cannibalize the actual fuel there. But the Fiji cover force is going to come in super handy. I mean, of course, we already do have 2 battleships out here with Kiributai, but we'll have Nagato and Mutsu as well. Then, of course, we'll have the additional heavy cruisers, 4 heavy cruisers, and then obviously the 4 destroyers out here. So I think what we'll do then is we'll actually follow in this invasion force. So Task Force 380. So we'll call this the New Caledonia delivery. Damn it. Damn it. New Caledonia Express. Yeah, there we go. That works for me. So that's Task Force 380. Okay. I have Kashima here, that's good. Right. It's not going to be bombarding, that's the certainty here. Okay, so clear this, we're going to slip anchor. I want them to follow, actually. So follow Task Force 280. 380? 380, there we go. Follow the New Caledonia Express. Okay, so I hear you ask what is the purpose of sending the Fiji cover force out there. What we're going to do with this is basically, yeah, rush order special delivery. What we're going to do with this is basically they're going to be heading out here. Ultimately, they are going to join up with Kiributai. But what we are going to do then is actually move additional surface assets into this area. The reason being so we actually do have the capability to defend ourselves. We are not going to bombard with this force. That's an absolute certainty. They are not for bombardment. They are for basically surface-on-surface warfare, and that is it. We cannot afford to have them waste their shells needlessly. We could to a degree, but I do not want to because it is not worth it. It's not worth it to throw shells out there for very little in return. All we need to do is land our forces. Our men will take care of these islands. These islands are not going to be naval fortresses at this point. Okay. We're fortunate it's not a retread by any means. We're talking about some actual TV show. That's awesome, dudes. I'm going to need up a bunch of fuel to move the cover forces around. Yeah, true. But what we'll do then is actually cannibalize the fuel from the actual tank, well, from the actual transport to a degree. We are moving fuel down here into the Marsh Islands. We do have fuel ready to move now. We just need to get it moving, actually. Okay. They've got a couple of 1,000 tons of fuel. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we're actually going to have this force head out right now. It's a Hayamoto or something like that. I'm going to have it head towards Nauru Island to begin with. And we are taking a risk here, but the reason why we can take a risk like this here by the Marsh Islands to an extent is due to the fact that we do have the cover of the G3M2 Nels. Now, they're not perfect, but it is about 35 bombers over here. So their range is 18 hexes, so obviously they can cover them all the way down to... Like, for example, the Task Force 97 and 88 are still under the cover of the bombers from truck, but they also then do come under the actual cover from the G3 and G4 squadrons out here at KYJ. Yeah, then under their cover. So technically, these forces here are covered by these forces individually are covered by 3 squadrons of naval bombers, which is quite nice. Then obviously, once we do have a squadron down here at New Maya, I mean, I'd like to try and base another squadron out here as well, possibly in the midway. Though that's where the carriers are going to come in really handy. Fuel's going to be in hot demand in the Marshall Islands and the Gibble Islands, especially now that Fiji plan is in effect. Oh, absolutely. It's well worth it in the long run. We do have fuel out here, we just obviously need to get it moving to where it needs to be. Fuel is on its way. 2 destroyers over here to escort this oiler, which is great. Have that in there. Okay. Right. No additional fuel available here as we see. But yeah, we have, well, yeah, obviously about 16,000 tons in the actual oilers right now. I have 6,000 units of fuel over here at Tarawa. Though, what I might do is unload a little bit of this fuel here at Tarawa, potentially. But what I might do is then have them move back over here to KYJ. Really, I just need to refuel the actual replenishment. I do obviously have another replenishment out here, the Tohomaru. She only has 2,273 units of fuel. So what I might do is actually have that then... No, yeah, we'll continue to unload fuel here at Tarawan, but actually pick it up with the Tohomaru. So that is going to be sending... Yeah, she's going to be putting that fuel into Kiributai. Tactical refuel. Yeah, she's going to put that into Kiributai. Indeed, yeah. Which will extend their range a couple days. Not hugely, but at least it is something. We are moving more fuel into the area. Like, for example, over here at Chichijima, we are loading up these forces, which is actually going really well. Yep, loading up the Chichijima Special Base Force. How accurate is the detection classification of ships in the Fiji area? Could the ships you spotted that resulted you and sending Kiributai not actually be heavy cruisers? Well, we know that there is at least 4 heavy cruisers. We've seen direct confirmation of at least 4 heavy cruisers, though we have seen more in the area potentially. So we are estimating anything from between 4 heavy cruisers to potentially even 6 or 8 heavy cruisers in the area. It's hard to say exactly how many, but I'm going to wager something in that region. Potentially others, but we'll see. Indeed. But it's not necessarily because of the enemy naval forces that Kiributai has been sent to the area. The reason Kiributai has been sent to the area is to actually ensure that success is plausible. In game terms, would you get extra units if you land in Alaska? I don't believe so. We'll eventually have a campaign to take the Aleutian Isles, but that is going to come later on, really. It's too much in the way to try and split efforts that much. We're kind of really focused on this area over here at the moment. We'll take forces elsewhere, but I mean, I couldn't even take this regiment over here at Midway, but I'd rather have them made available for this effort down here. We will have in time, after the Philippines campaign is mostly wrapped up, we'll have a division made ready to move down here. Yeah, I kind of think he does have his carriers. I'm gonna bet that he does have his carriers here. Probably New Zealand. That's where I've kind of come to figure they might be. I don't know. I don't know exactly where they might be. I feel he's going to have his carriers nearby. I think that would explain a lot of his escalation. I don't think he would escalate unless he felt somewhat comfortable by at least having some kind of air projection. Not that that's like entirely plausible or possible, you know what I mean? It's like they don't have to be here. They might be elsewhere. It's not entirely certain. But yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say if they're actually there. But I'm going to guess that they're probably at New Zealand. Which is why I do have submarines heading down that way to actually see if we can find out that information. So at least that's something. However, sending Kiributai out other than finding a chance at taking carriers is risky. If he spots Kiributai first, he basically wins. Well, to be honest, the way it works here in 1941 and really into early 1942, he has really about zero chance to defeat Kiributai in its totality. We have far, far more aircraft than he has. And our aircraft have significantly better pilots for the most part. We are better performing aircraft for the most part here at the moment, arguably. But yeah, we also have the range, which is great. He may be bringing them in, yeah, I think in low small force. Maybe. I'm not going to underestimate THG. I know he's very good. He's definitely more experienced when it comes to play by email games than I am. So I've had to do a lot of learning really quickly. So I'm not going to underestimate the guy. I know he's very good. I know he's got some good advisors as well. Okay. Why the hell are you on full speed? Okay, just patrol a little bit further out. Okay. But do you have the infrastructure to replace lost planes and pilots? Yes, we do. Track is going to be really where we replace most of our pilots and planes. We can replace pilots, no issue. It's going to take a couple of days, but planes we'd have to replace over here at Track probably, or even over here at KYJ, but more than likely over here at Track for the most part. The good news about Track is we are building up its ability to repair ships and rearm, etc., so it's getting there. I'm going to stop building the fortifications for now. I know it's a waste of time there for that 15% to be lost, but I'm going to have them focus on actually building up the port. That's going to be required more. Also, my previous question was, are the 4 CAs we spotted actually CAs? Yes, they were. They actually were heavy cruisers. We know that because we actually saw them in battle. So we know that one for certainty. I think I saw 2 British or Australian and at least 2 American. We are aware of them. So we have to bear that in mind. Okay. Right. Well, we do have a lot of search potential, so we'll gather information. That's really what we need right now. We do have our Katori over here. She's going to be hitting Baker Island next turn, so tomorrow. And then we do have 2 destroyers over here, transporting the elements of the Naval Guard over here to Canton Island to resecure it. The good news is once we do resecure Canton Island, I can actually base some patrol boats over here, so we can actually try and gather some additional information. I don't worry, dude, about asking questions. I love when people ask questions. Don't worry about it in the slightest. It helps to keep me on target as well, really go over my strategies. It's like at the end of the day, I'm learning as well. We're all learning here. So that's something we always have to bear in mind. Like, I'm no better than any of you guys. So, don't forget that. I'm no professional in this game. I just play it quite often. Okay, we are going to take on board the comment earlier about having a submarine on the other side of the straits, which we're going to do. Okay. I'm patrolling around Palembang quite heavily just because I don't want to see anything escape there. I also don't want him actually to draw fuel out. Okay. So we have Nedakazi that's going to be transporting an engineer unit in here. We do have this unit over here now. I do want it to be usable very quickly. Now, I'm going to have it plan... where do we have it planned for? Where's really worth it? It would be nice to secure Borneo. I think this is where we need to plan for, to be honest. Yeah, it would be nice, obviously, to secure that. Refinery over here as well. Definitely need to secure these refineries and oil fields. But I think we need to probably plan for... I don't know, it's hard to say. I'll have them begin planning for Palembang. Just build that up over time. Now, we do have the 2 destroyers over here in Miri. Let's take a look if they were to put onto a fast transport, what could they carry? So 75, 75. Nothing massive. Now, the 16th Regiment is much, much larger than that. So we'd only be able to cover a small amount. Yeah, the entire island's a gold mine, definitely. And we will be taking it. Oh, no, dude, don't worry about it. I'm glad to actually have you in the live streams. The live streams are really where it's at, because at the end of the day, we get this interaction. I love interaction. It's nice to see new people. Do try to make notes and names as well, which is always good. Okay. Alright, man. So we'll have a Danakazi move over here. I might look at taking some of these 2 transports that are on their way back. We do have the other APD over here, the Shimikaze. She's another Minikaze class, so she's 250 capacity here. I'm going to have them make full speed for a single day, just to make sure they... Well, actually, I don't think they make a difference. Does it make a difference? No, it doesn't. Okay. I can't leave them on their own, unfortunately, but we'll have the other APD head back down here. And so we'll be able to carry something in the region about 600 to 700 troop capacity, which is actually quite decent. I'll be able to carry small amounts of the regiment around the actual island of Borneo. Obviously, then we'll increase the amount. I advise clear Borneo. Some marches will be cleared after fall of Singapore. True, I'll have the regiment really concerned with Borneo and Sarawak, but I want them to begin planning for Palembang, so that obviously once we do move on Palembang, we'll have some forces that are at least planning for it. I do plan to actually have, once Mindanao has been secured, I'm going to have that division actually transported over here to take control of these refineries. I think that's going to be the best idea. I think taking control of Borneo is going to help our position. All that's going to be coming in the next few weeks, really. Okay. We are moving a unit over into Burma. That's good. Yeah. Okay. So this unit is going to be heading south soon. Once Taiping has been captured, we'll be able to reform the 5th Division as well. The 18th Division... I'm going to have them in rest and training for the time being. I think we'll do that with the other unit as well, actually, to be fair. This unit spread out, Mersing, Low Star, and Kamran Bay. This unit could be used for Borneo. But what I'm going to have you do is actually load up the 124th. Right, load up the 124th. I think I might have to unload some of the, yeah. I'll just have to put in something else just to carry some additional cargo. There we go. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I do remember to a decent degree what we're doing. Obviously, these are the little details. Have you found a solution to stop bombers going out unescorted and increase the altitude of fighters escorted in China and Singapore? We've increased the altitude of fighters in China. That's been done. The fighters in Singapore have been increased. We are using our Ki-43-1Bs at 15,000 feet alongside the Ki-21-2As. Then I also heading out at 15,000 feet. So obviously we've increased that from the previous 12,000 feet. Try and see if we can have better results there. We're also decreasing the amount of bombs actually flying out at once, just to decrease the amount of potential losses. We are also then increasing the amount of fighters. We're going to have like a 3-to-1 ratio, for example. Give or take, anyway. So that should see us do quite well. By reducing the amount of fighters, well, reducing the amount of bombers, at least we are reducing the amount of chances for things to go wrong, which is good. We also are sending out a very high morale squadron, so they should do very well. Okay. You guys definitely do help. You absolutely do help. Never knock yourselves. Okay. We're not too far away from ending the turn, to be honest. I do have a lot of naval guard I really do need to make use of. I'm going to send some additional aviation support over here to Willow Star. Going to take a little while, but we'll get it sent out there. Okay. So I do have this regiment over here. I'm going to have them rest, actually. I mean, I could have, obviously, them made ready to move, but it's not going to take as long to move anyway, is it? These guys are unpacking. I don't know what unit you belong to, but I'm going to have you rest and train as well. Okay. We'll try and build up the 124th Regiment again. Yep, you're over here. And there's obviously others in... Oh, yeah, the others are in Mersing, aren't they? Kind of makes me wonder, is it potentially worthwhile to reinforce Mersing, but obviously we'd have to have complete control of the actual seas there. Right, can I load the aircraft on board here? I don't think so. What about the others? No. Not gonna happen, okay. Unloading the actual troops here, that's good. Yes, we are dispatching less forces to Georgetown than initially. I'm sending the 91st Guard to secure Georgetown. They'll be there shortly. The rest of the forces, basically like 9/10 of the 5th Regiment, are heading over here to Taiping. And once Taiping has been secured, we'll have these forces transported via rail down here. Then obviously reform the actual 5th Division there, which would be great news. From there, we'll have 2 divisions marching directly south, which is going to be perfect. It means we'll be able to make the most of the forces that we actually have available to us, which is the best thing. Okay. Obviously, it's going to take them some time to march down there to Taiping, so it's not going to happen immediately. But it'll be okay. Right. Okay. And we'll have our escort carriers merge over here again. Now, let's see. I'm going to have at least 10 zeros and 100% combat patrol here of the carriers at 10,000 feet, perhaps. I'll split it and have some of them at 5, yeah, just a couple at 5,000 feet as well. In fact, what I'll do is actually have... No, I'll just go for 10,000 feet, I'm sure that'll be fine. I need to make use of these carriers. Okay, these 2 APDs over here are actually really handy. They're not particularly fast, but I'll take them. Have them sent down here to me. I'll base them down there as well. So what I might do is actually move around Borneo using like APDs. It'd actually be really handy because I could potentially use them to cross to different islands around here and like grab air bases. That'd be really nice. So we'll do that. Go meet Task Force 157. I'm going to move the oilers out within the next few days and we'll refuel Baby Kidu Butai. Wow, Yomo. There we go. Obviously, the escort carriers will merge. There we go. Tayo's so goddamn slow, but we'll make do. She's nice and large though, that's what matters. She's nice and big. But yeah, with the supporting carriers merged together, at least we'll have more power there to use. Which is nice. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll have them moved over here, then we'll have the Oilers come out once their escort has rendezvoused with them. Use them from there. Another APD there. We'll actually be able to move quite a few APDs down here to Borneo, which is going to be good. Alright. Those units are moving. I'm actually going to move up the Imperial Army headquarters. We do have 25th Army headquarters there, actually. I might move another one down here to Kutabaru. Ah, numbers are building up again. There we go. Good supplies on its way to summer. Probably, but we're not going to be trying to take a city as such. We'll be really just trying to cover the actual rail lines. We'll see what we can do anyhow. I'm half tempted to have these L3Y2s actually sent to the Pacific. Like, I'm not going to lie, that might be the best thing to do here. Like, I could probably have them sent to Bab al-Duab this turn. And then afterwards have them sent to KYJ potentially, or even Trek. But what I'm thinking is we could actually use them to move our forces around here in the Marsh Islands, rather than just moving small amounts of supplying in the Indo-Chinese region. I think that's the best thing to do, yeah. I think we'll move them out. Just double check if Bab al-Duab though actually have the capacity. I just think this is going to be a better idea because then at the end of the day, I can start to move units around in greater numbers. I've got a couple moving over here at Roinmar. I mean, we've got like the H6K2 L Mavises. There's only 6 of them moving the 6 base force, which is obviously going to take some time. But also, if we had additional 20-odd plus L3Y2s, that'd be done much, much sooner. But I think it'd be really worthwhile because we could have them based over here and we could basically use them to move either our paratroopers around and drop them, or we could even use them to move engineers. I'm going to say no to the paratroopers over Burma just because at the end of the day I don't think it's worthwhile. Just not worthwhile right now. In the future potentially, but just not now. We need to take Singapore and then we can actually move into the area navally. I know taking Burma is going to be a priority, but the thing is, it's just not now. We need Singapore first. Once we take Singapore, that opens up a lot of options. What airbase capacity do they need to operate? As far as I can tell, 1, but it may not be so. I believe our guys over here are operating from Roinmar, which is a size 4. But yeah, we'll look at securing obviously the additional airfields. But I want them really in this region so I can actually have them move units around and supply around. And from Roinmar to Wake is 16 hexes. Which, yeah, is doable. I could move units around quite nicely. I think it's worthwhile doing it. Yeah, we can handle them here. KYJ. Yeah, I'm aware of that. That's why we have a unit moving out there to try and just cause some issues with the actual supply line. But it's one of these. We can't dedicate terribly large forces to Burma at the moment. In the future, we'll be heading out here with divisions. But we'll send this force out of here to really try and just take over the base, or just try and cut this rail line for some time, just cause issues for him. We are making good progress in China. So, to be honest, it's one of these things of once we do get the ball really rolling in China, things will become significantly easier, as we'll have more forces to move around. But we need Singapore. Singapore must just absolutely come first. I don't have much in the way of options when it comes to else. Oh dear, that was terribly sad. Oh boy. Yeah, it's one of these things. But indeed, we'll make the most of it. Okay. Hello there, Ragnar. Ragnar, how you doing? Current progress is pretty good. Just finishing off things for the most part. I'm going to be doing a lot of reconnaissance now over Sumatra, and what we're trying to do here is figure out where his actual forces are. Didn't you have Mersing yesterday? We've never actually owned Mersing. It still remained under Allied control. We've been fighting for it pretty heavily, but we've never owned it. Unfortunately. Yeah, we'll try and gather information over all these Dutch air bases in the region. Okay, make sure we cover all these bases. Like, literally bases. You're not ready. I'd like to take Kuantan, but I need to figure out where his actual forces are over here. Keep it up over Singapore. Oh, these guys are all in maintenance, Jesus. They're not going to be ready until next turn then, are they? Yeah, we did sneak in some extra troops over here. Yeah, I know he has, but I don't want him to turn around and destroy our forces, so we'll try and gather some information. Right, moving on to Bab al-Dawab. Right, a couple of them damaged. It's going to take some time for them to repair, which is fine. So by the time they're repaired, we'll have the other unit, the other plane here, ready to transfer to meet them. But how far is Bab al-Dawab? 27. But it's within range of Saipan. Yep, still good. Have them repaired, not take too long, have them have them earn some rest. But yeah, it'd be quite handy to have these L3Y2s out here in the South Pacific, because then I can actually use them. Like, for example, I could have, like, supply flown from truck to Rabaul, and then from Rabaul we could have it distributed, or I could have it sent over here. Well, not quite to Shortlands, but not too far off. But yeah, we'll be able to use that. And then I'm able to supply and move units around here. Okay. So we're loading up engineers over here to these bases, which are obviously going to be moving in, which is good news. You're going to move out because obviously you don't have the capacity to take any more. Right, I do have additional supply here. I'm going to have that move up to Tarawa to begin with. And then from Tarawa I could obviously have it distributed elsewhere. Okay. Let's take a look over here at KWJ. Right, yeah. Replenish task force at sea. Yeah, so it's all been basically taken from this ship here, which is fine. Okay. But it does now mean that we have 2 additional light cruisers and 2 additional destroyers back in action due to the fact that they actually have fuel, which is good news. Which means I can actually use them to escort our forces, which I think I will do. Yep, I could have them head out and meet this force over here, which is probably the best option. They don't have a huge amount of fuel though. So what I'll do then is I'll have them... Hard to say. Have them head out over here, then they can refuel. You're going to continue to unload over here. That's good, so have you dock. We'll be able to put 2,500 units of fuel here at the island. Which is obviously what we need. We'll have another destroyer here to actually escort, so we'll be able to have a couple ships in the area as well, which is nice. Right, Kishima. How to make use of Kishima. I think we'll keep on station in this area so I can actually use them as a fast transport and also as like some kind of last means of defense. I think we'll attempt a closer blockade again. These guys are keeping that area. I'm just going to see if I can find anything near San Diego. Okay. Well, what we're going to do is... it's getting a little bit late here. So I'm going to say the turn is not yet done, but we'll be able to finish it quite quickly tomorrow. I think we'll just have a little bit of time just to digest the things that have gone on and really just double check everything that's happened. And then we'll be good to go. But I think things are definitely moving in our favour now. Things are really starting to increase in speed. We've got things planned out to a better degree. I want to really double check our operations down here. I think fuel's going to be a tight run schedule. But for the most part, I'm going to have them cannibalize the fuel of the actual transport until we can actually really gather it up again. It's going to just have to be the way it is for a little while until we actually can get the fuel out there. But the thing is, if we get the fuel there, well, we'll be good to go. But have you sent a sub of your South of Osthaven? Yeah, we've got one just being sent out here, actually. But I will carry on tomorrow. So until next time, thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. So, until next time, goodbye for now. See you all again in the future.